Hello there friends, Ken here, welcome back to another Hearthstone Tavern Brawl. Last time we had a few server issues, good old EU, but in fact, let's take a look at what we're doing first. Decks assemble. All of Azeroth wants to brawl for you. Start with a small deck, recruit as you go, then send them to fight over and over. So, who are we going to pick? Let's pick, I feel like the Warlock power is not very useful because we don't do a... I mean, you can draw from your deck, but it's less useful than it is in other ones, and you'll see why in a second. Let's play the Paladin. So, we had a bit of trouble with the servers last time, but did give us a good idea of how this works. So what's going to happen is we start off with a few cards in hand, a couple of 1/1 chickens, we start off with a couple of coins, and we have a few other bits in our deck. A very small deck of about 4 cards. We've got armor plating in there, we've got whirling blades. Yeah, 4 other cards in our deck. And so, what's going to happen is each turn, I'm going to draft a card like this, going to discover a card from like pretty much the whole pool, I think. And then we get to play stuff, and then the stuff you play gets shuffled into your deck. And then at the end of your turn, the stuff you haven't played also gets shuffled into your deck, and you draw 4 new cards. So, it's quite an interesting concept. We could get Fairy Dragon, going to give us something to play early on. We'll get the chicken out. We'll play the coin. Play one of our lovely tarnished coins. I don't know whether these do go back in the deck, but perhaps they do. Should we play the other ones as well? Why not? Let's do that as an experiment. See if that gets rid of all our coins and we don't see any more after that. It may not matter. We've got a nice big start. So you see here we've got some more chickens. Because this one got shuffled back into our deck. Then we drew those. The Fairy Dragon will have been shuffled into our deck. And then we used our entire hand, so you didn't get to see, but that would have been shuffled back in as well. Zoiga here. Got themselves a Murloc Tidecaller. It's not a great card. It is a 1/2, so it deals with some of these 1/1s. Our poor Fairy Dragon is going to be a little sad here. Hang on a sec. There's a Murloc. Don't mind if I do. Look at that synergy. It does mean we'll have another Hungry Crab from now on, but that's fine. It was worth it for that sweet tech. We'll get the health up. We'll trade in. And there you see the rest of our hand goes back in. And we get to redraw another 4 cards for the next turn. There's an interesting mechanic. It's worth noting, like, turn 1, the opponent will have nothing in their deck. So if you joust, well, the opponent will often have nothing in their deck, so you can joust into stuff. Remember, you could play a chicken first, that puts a chicken in your deck. Then when you joust, you're jousting out the chicken. Now we've got a Fairy Dragon and a chicken. But bear in mind, we could have 5 mana. Nothing on this side of the board, though. So, do we want to use this stuff? Do we want to take a Stormpike Commander, which is okay, or do we want to take like maybe the Baron Geddon and hang on to him for a bit later? Quite a potent card. Be nice to have a big hitter in our deck. So okay, so it looks like the coins do go back in your deck, I think, because otherwise you'd imagine that they'd have gone away by now. We'll coin out a hero power. I think the Paladin's quite good because you can always use that hero power just to put something on the board. You know, it's a hero power that always benefits you. Some hero powers are less useful in certain situations. You know, the Mage's hero power is very potent, but if you haven't got anything to deal with, then yeah, sure, maybe you're ahead, but it does mean your hero power is not especially useful. Whereas the Paladin can get you a little bit more ahead on the board. Dealt with our poor Hungry Crab, but the Hungry Crab did pretty well for himself. Oh man, he's got... Of course he's going to have to keep having the Murloc, so he's given up already. Wow. People are very quick to give up in this. We found that last time. Hopefully we get a bit of a longer game in. Who do we want to play as this time? Should we play as the Druid? We just beat a Druid, so let's see if we can take it on ourselves and maybe make something of that. Sadly, no additional packs. It's just for fun. We won our pack last and we managed to somehow win a pack despite all the server troubles. But there we are. Let's see who we have to face up against now. It's Wajin or Vine, perhaps. The Paladin. So this is basically the reverse of what we had last time. And the Mechjanir Thermopluck is very tempting, but perhaps not the most. I think the Chillwind Yeti is probably the safety pick here. Sure, we'll get the armor plating up, and again remember, if you don't play it, it's shuffled into your deck, but if you do play it, you get a copy in your deck. So there's no real point to kind of hanging on to the cards. Not like, oh, I should hang on to the... ordinarily, maybe you'd hang on to the armor plating because maybe it'll be useful to trade later. But here, there's no sense in hanging on to it because we still have hung on to it. You know, it's still back in our deck. Hopefully that Yeti will come in handy going forward. So you see here, this armor plating is going to let us get a bit ahead here, hopefully. Ooh, 2 mana card coming in. Maybe not. 3 mana card. Uh-oh. Yeah, the Seed of Champions. I was a little concerned that might be the one. I wonder if he'll go face. Oh no, he can't. He's not actually used it yet. We've got the Silence here, but unfortunately don't have anything really we can do with the Silence in this particular situation. I still think it might be the pick. We can't use the Fairy Dragon this turn anyway, because I'm going to place some... Well... Yeah, I think I'll clear out the board. Will I clear out the board though? And Wild Growth, we don't want to fill our deck with Wild Growth, they're not particularly handy. Sure, okay, let's take the Fairy Dragon even if we end up not using it. It might be the pick here.
Well met.
I don't think we need to hero power here. It is kind of tempting to do so, but I actually don't think it's necessarily the right move. Because we've always got that option to hero power. This guy's still only got 1 health. And yes, he could buff it up, but this isn't a constructed deck. It's unlikely that they'll have Blessing of Kings or another buff in hand.
Well met.
In fact, that's the first buff I've seen. I've seen very few spells, but apparently they are in there. Ooh, ooh. Oh man, he didn't hit his own guy. That's a shame. Ooh, the Nourish. Very nice. You want to take that now? Sure, we'll take it because having the card draw later could be kind of nifty if it works out. Oh, although, card draw is not that essential because you do redraw to 4 every turn. Maybe it's better to have a creature that's reliable. Yeah, okay. I've changed my mind on that one. So I think we play the Spider Tank, which lets us use the hero power. Okay, fantastic. Now the only problem here is we should be wary of playing low health stuff because old Wajan here is going to have mad bombers all day, every day, most likely. Because particularly early on, you'll see like we'll end up with 1 more card every turn because we're drafting a new card into our deck each turn. I've seen a few people compare this to Dominion, which isn't a game I'm incredibly familiar with. I'm aware of it, but it's an interesting mechanic. It really is a different way to play Hearthstone, and I like that. I was talking during the adventure last week, or I suppose the week prior to that. They had the minecart run, which I said felt different from playing a traditional game of Hearthstone, and I kind of like that. That's what's happened here as well. Is that this is not the Hearthstone that you're used to. And it feels very, very unique, and I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, just going to make a guy. That's reasonable. Well, we've got the Whirling Blaze to trade in here. I think that's going to be a solid shout for us. Hero Power would let us take care of the 1/1. That would only leave us with 1 mana.
What to do?
And I do want to deal with this chap. I suppose we could Hero Power and trade. And have the Bone Guard Lieutenant out. But I don't think the Bone Guard Lieutenant is so good that we should kind of focus on that necessarily. I think it might still be the play. We can afford to take the damage at the moment. It's still quite early on. And I think the Bone Guard Lieutenant is a decent card to have compared to the other two that we could have picked. And I feel better with this board layout than how we would have ended up in a different situation. Again, playing the 1/1's a little bit less useful with the Mad Bombers about. I think there's just one Whirling Blaze. I'm not actually certain, but I think there's 1 Whirling Blades and 1 armor plating. But there might be 2 of each. But it could be, it's either 2 of each, or I think it could be 2 chickens and 1 of each of the buffs that start in the deck. It's definitely 2 chickens and 2 coins that you start with in hand. I'm pretty sure that's always the same without fail. I could be wrong, but I'm fairly confident. I think the Silent Knight's maybe the pick. The Priestess of Elune actually quite good. It's going to give us a lot of sustain, so perhaps we take that for now. Okay, so we've got options here. We could play the Spider Tank, and we can trade in. I think that's certainly reasonable. Do you want to play the chicken as well? I think we do. We would want to play the chicken. Again, we should use our mana if we can. The alternative is we could play the Yeti. Maybe we play the Yeti instead. Rather than, I'll go for a slightly more stable thing over having the Spider Tank and a 1/1. Have it in 1 body instead of 2. There's always going to be a debate over which is better, whether you're better off with a 3/4 and a 1/1, or whether you're better off with a single 4/5. And it's going to vary depending on the situation and what the opponent has. Obviously, if the opponent's got swipe, then the 3/4 and the 1/1 are a worse option. But in alternative cases, you know, maybe if there's an assassinate, obviously it's going to work much better on a Chill Wind Yeti, although I doubt you'd be too sad if someone assassinated your Chill Wind Yeti. Okay, Healing Touch, Lost Tool Strider, and Noyatron. A Healing Touch is going to be insane healing. What else are we going to do this turn? We've got 7 mana. We can spend 4, maybe 6 of it. And I think we will. I think we'll spend 2, 3. I'm tempted to take the Healing Touch here. The Annoyatron's also good. The Healing Touch is good because we're going to keep getting it. And we're going to maybe be... It's the card that I don't think is great normally, but in this situation, it's pretty nifty. It's kind of tempting to heal heal this guy, and in some cases I would, but we are quite low on health, and you never know what could come out in the draft, so I do want to be a little bit cautious. And the paladin, if the paladin had been a class that could deal 1 damage, the druid or the mage or the rogue even, I would perhaps have considered healing that rather than healing myself. But I think for now, we kind of want the sustain on ourselves. We don't really need to take any more healing. We've got the Priestess of Elune, we've got the healing touch. That should be plenty.
Your magic shall not save.
Okay, Spellbreaker. It's a nice thing in your arsenal, for sure. Ooh, I like the Savage Combatant. I also like the Hobgoblin a lot with the chickens. I think maybe that's maybe the fun pick here. Give it a shot, shall we? And we'll play the Bone Guard Lieutenant. Don't need to play the Tarnished Coin. It's not going to help us here. Okay. Let's see what Wajan's got up their sleeve. Let me know in the comments what you've been doing with this brawl, because I'm interested to see. It's a real weird one. I think there's some real obvious picks for great cards. Hobgoblin's going to be fantastic. Things that benefit from you playing spells. So the Flame Waker we had last time is fantastic. The Lightbane and Darkbane, Idis Darkbane, Fiola Lightbane will be fantastic because you got these cheap buff. You got the 2 cheap buffs. I think Flame Waker is maybe even better because the coins count as well. Also, the Violet Teacher would work great because of the coins. Have a lot of tokens, and then you've got the buffs to go on the chaps. Some real good stuff. I kind of like the minion buff here. I think that's maybe the choice. Going to give us 4 4s, and then we play the Priestess of Elune as well. I think that's a decent shout.
I am the blade of the gods.
How do we want to trade it in here? Just thinking about my best options.
Time waits for no one.
I do kind of want to keep the board fairly clear. Don't want to give them too many opportunities to trade in easily. And there we go, another Hobgoblin. You don't need to hang on to these things too tightly. It's very tempting to do so, but ultimately the board control is important. And with everyone getting their hand continuously refilled, at some point it's going to come down to that. The thing you have to be careful of is, that's a terrifying thing for the opponent to have in the deck, because you have to be careful because your deck might get watered down the longer the game goes on, depending on what you're able to draft. Nozdormu is a fun idea. Clockwork Knight's very fun if you also have another mech. I think Nozdormu could be a fun time. Catch the opponent off guard, maybe they won't be able to draft. We're not going to play it this turn. I'm going to deal with Sylvanas while I can.
For the wild.
I'll give this +1 attack to make it a 3/3, just to help favour the trades. Facing up against lots of Sylvanas could be quite terrifying. That's definitely something to be wary of. We've not got a great hand lined up for next turn, to be honest. We got 9 mana worth of stuff to do. Not particularly exciting stuff, especially as our Hobgoblin will most likely die here. Oof. Power of the World works out fairly well for us, but Oh, he's going to Divine Shield. Okay. The 6-2. I can see the sense in that. Do we have a beast? The chicken is a beast. But maybe the taunt is a better option here. I kind of like the Druid of the Claw is a real good all around card. Okay, we're gonna think about this carefully. We've only got 5 mana to spend now, so I think we play the chicken. Play the no, I don't want to play the lieutenant because I'm going to play the... Am I going to play the Power of the Wild? I think it's good to have the buff, right? In that case, I don't necessarily need to play the hero power.
Time waits for no one. Where shall I strike?
There we go, in the 5-7. Taunt protects us against the 5-5. There's every chance that they'll get the buff and be able to +1/+1 on this, but it still won't be able to trade through into our taunt directly. So I think it's a good option for us.
Your magic shall not
Ooh, the
cease.
silence, cheeky. Ooh, Sky God, there's some real good cards coming out now. And we're getting low on options here. Darkscale Healer is decent. It might be the pick here. None of these are incredible cards, to be honest.
You face death.
The light will not discriminate.
Okay. I think that's the more dangerous of the two options.
Time waits for no one.
Right, let's get this thing on the road.
Well played.
Force him to draft fast. Still hasn't picked yet.
Right on time.
Damn it! Got stuff done. Right, now we've got to pick.
Waits for no one.
We did it, just in time.
Move quickly.
I think that might have done it. That might have been the play.
Follow the rule.
Damn it!
That was a mistake. Time waits for no one.
Oh man, that was intense. That was quick maths that had to be done there. Sorry, I might have gone a bit quiet. Whew, what a game. Man, I love playing with Nozdormu, and like playing with Nozdormu in this situation is crazy nuts though. Yeah, that's going to do it for now. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, be sure to bop that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more Hearthstone, Tavern Brawl, and plenty of other games as well. Of course, I've been Ken. I hope you have a fantastic day. If you've had any great stories to tell, drop them in the comments below and I'll check them out. And I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers!